tonight we try to squash the beef with Teddi. I know you find her annoying. You have had her banned from attending the Tres Amigas. Is there hope for you to come together? What is there a problem? Does she talk poorly? Does she try to take Tamra away from you?
Listen, I can share my friends. I'm not that kind of girl.
Okay.
We can go way back. One of the things you said, I'm going to go berserk on it. Where was I on January 6th? I'll tell you where I was. I was at my condo in Puerto Vallarta. And I proved I'm always spending January. Why the hell would you ask me where I am on January 6th? Here's the thing, Vicki. I tried to give you a little bit of grace.
Come on!
I originally thought that maybe you just had issues between me and Tamara being such close friends. And then I realized you were probably just triggered by somebody that actually has cancer. That's so gross. You're gross.
So, I don't think that we're going to be able to squash this beef.
I have no respect for somebody that would say that to me. How dare you?
Okay. Teddi, we tried to squash it.
So for those of you who are listening from outside of the United States, because of the algorithm, I don't want to talk about this here, not just on my podcast, but also on YouTube. So I'm pretty sure that if you are not familiar with what happened, a search in Google or your preferred search engine will tell you what happened on January 6th a few years ago. It made international news. And it's basically, I do not wish to discuss this on this platform right now, but you can just understand that it's something that is very, very, very dark. And, it's on the political front, and this is like a Housewives dedicated podcast. So at BravoCon every year, they do this thing religiously, which is called Squash the Beef. And it is a panel where the housewives or other Bravo celebrities that have said things that were a little shady or mean against another Bravo celebrity get to confront each other for a short period of time and have the opportunity given to them to squash their beef. And this little segment of BravoCon is hosted by no one other than Andy Cohen. So in that particular audio clip, what you hear is basically Teddi Mellencamp, who used to be on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and vickigunvalson sitting down and confront each other regarding their beef. So vickigunvalson has been very vocal in the past and said, she said that she doesn't really like Teddi. She has not invited her in certain things that she was involved in. And the reason why this is very relevant, I guess, is not because Teddi is that interesting, to be honest, but it's because Teddi has this podcast with Tamra Judge on iHeartRadio called Two Teas and a Pod. And Tamra is known to be vickigunvalson's BFF. And, a lot of people were wondering, is it because Tamra and Teddi are now very close? Is that why Vicki does not like Teddi? Because, if you followed Vicki on The Real Housewives of Orange County for several seasons, she tends to be very possessive of her girlfriends on the show, right? So, anyways, I like Vicki. But, Vicki says that the beef has absolutely nothing to do with that she is more than happy to share her girlfriends, but she was upset and pissed, which I was really surprised by because Vicki tends to just kind of brush things off. She doesn't really stay mad for a very long time. She's usually pretty direct. She says what's on her mind and then she kind of moves on, right? But the fact that Vicki was sitting in the chair and was not being her playful self, and she was visibly upset and said that I will tell you what my problem is with you is the fact that you have made this insinuation that I was, on January 6th, that, fateful date that I was talking to you guys about, that I was somewhere where I should have not been. And in fact, I was in Mexico at my condo, right? So then, I think that that's a very valid reason. Like, just to give you my personal opinion, guys, I think it is a very valid reason for Vicki to be upset, because it's like I said, that particular event that took place in the United States a few years ago is probably not something that you want to be accused of, or to be accused of being at this particular place at that particular time, right? So I understand Vicki's frustration with Teddi when it comes to that, because we live in an era that people get canceled for way less than that. So like, if your name was to be tied up to that particular event, that could be career ending for Vicki. And we also have to consider the public backlash, right? So it is a very strong accusation or allegation that Teddi put out there. So I totally understand Vicki's frustration when it comes to that. And I was very disappointed in Teddi, because Teddi calls herself the accountability coach, and she's always saying that people need to be accountable, and they need to do this, and they need to do that. And she's always telling people what to do when she was on that show. Like, she knows everything that everyone should be doing at a particular point in time. But I think that Teddi could have just squashed that beef very easily and just said to Vicki, you know what, Vicki, I do not remember saying that, or maybe I did say that. I'm on the podcast. Sometimes I overtalk. Sometimes I'm trying to be funny, and I understand that that was not a joke that landed well with you. In retrospect, I should have never said that. I'm sorry. I apologize, right? I think that that's a very easy thing to say. But instead of taking that opportunity, she went even lower. And then she said to Vicki that she thinks that Vicki might just be triggered by someone that actually really has cancer. And then Vicki became super upset. She actually, if you have not seen that video, guys, she actually got up from her seat and she said, I can't believe that you just said this to me. And she looked disgusted with Teddi, right? So I don't know what happened to Teddi. She used to be this girl that, you said boo to her and she would start crying. Now it seems like she just wants to be a mean girl. And to me, it sounded like she had rehearsed that read, just trying to read Vicki in a very mean way. And it seemed a little rehearsed to me, like she practiced that read all night, like the night before, right? And for those of you who are not familiar with the Real Housewife of Orange County, the reason why real cancer is a trigger word for vickigunvalson, it has to do with her history with a certain guy named Brooks, who used to be her boyfriend at the time. And he was duping everyone into believing that he had cancer, which in fact he did not. So that's why that was a trigger point for Vicki.